Welcome to the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Innovation Subcommittee. First, I would like to thank the members of this committee. You have been outstanding. The agendas have been super challenging the last year, and you have faced everything, and we come to resolutions. So thank you very much for all your hard work. With that, Matt, do we have any calls?
Vice Mayor, not at this time.
Okay. Do any of you have follow-up requests?
So, Madam Chair, Mario speaking here. This item isn't typically on the subcommittee agenda. We put this item on here today because we wanted to have the opportunity and take some time to honor you and to thank you for your great leadership and the wonderful job you've done leading this subcommittee. It's been a real honor to work closely with you on all of the transportation, infrastructure, and innovation projects that have come through here. And as you mentioned, very challenging items that come through this subcommittee. And you've done an amazing job working with the rest of this great subcommittee to get things done. And really, you've just led us so well, and we're so thankful to you for that. We do have some staff from the various departments that have worked with you over the years that would like to take a few minutes just to make some comments and present you with a couple of tokens of our appreciation. So I'd like to start with the aviation department. If someone from aviation can come up. I believe we've got somebody here, Chad and Charlene, to make some comments, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you the token that aviation is providing. So I'll turn it over to Chad.
So I'm getting credit for this committee's hard work.
Ready? Well, Mario, I'll start off on behalf of aviation. So for decades, Vice Mayor Williams, you have been a fierce champion for new international air service from Phoenix and have traveled the world on behalf of the department. In fact, it is my understanding that one of those trips, you actually visited 3 countries in a single day, which is quite impressive, making the case for service to and from Phoenix Sky Harbor. And your efforts paid off with overseas flights to London and Frankfurt. We also owe you a debt of gratitude for Sky Harbor's popular Navigator Buddies Pet Therapy Program. This program was your idea. You remained a strong advocate, and you actually launched the program in 2017. I would also like to thank you for being so supportive of Phoenix Deer Valley Airport. You have been actively involved in the success of the airport. You even hosted your monthly district breakfasts there for a number of years until the event actually outgrew the airport. And you spent a lot of time at Deer Valley taping your television show. So on behalf of aviation and on my behalf, I'd like to thank you for all of your support, not only for the department, but for women in leadership here. Thank you very much, and I'd like to turn it over to Chad.
Thank you, Charlene. And Vice Mayor, I'd like to add my sincere thanks to you and for really your dedicated service and support to our airport system, both as you've served on the Phoenix Aviation Advisory Board and through your career of service as a member of City Council. You know, my personal regret is not having returned to the city sooner so I could learn more from you. So on behalf of the entire City of Phoenix Aviation Department, we would like to present you via Mr. Paniagua this gift. And we hope that this serves as a reminder of the many accomplishments that you've made, which will have long-lasting impacts to our airport system. Vice Mayor, we wish you nothing but the best in your career going forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It is absolutely gorgeous, and you all know I like to collect airplanes, so this is perfect. Thank you so much, and thanks for the kind words and all your dedication to making Sky Harbor the best in the world. Councilor, did you have a question? No.
No. I could go after I could go after Mario's done with everyone else. That's okay.
So next we'll do Public Works. And then after that, we'll go to streets.
Did you say we go to sleep?
No, to streets. These masks, it makes it harder, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
Good morning. So, Vice Mayor, we wanted to thank you very much on behalf of Public Works. Our Director Ginger unfortunately is unable to be here due to unforeseen circumstances, but on behalf of my colleagues, Felisa Washington-Smith, Art Fairbanks, Ray Dovalina, and our entire team at Public Works, we are just so grateful as a Public Works family for your leadership. We want to thank you for your passion about solid waste. So for me, those who share that passion, we certainly greatly appreciate your vigilance for protecting the city from illegal dumping activities, and for your passion about our recycling programs, as well as our infrastructure for our fleet and facilities. So we present to you a plaque, and I'd like to just read on that plaque. So what we give is a garbage truck mounted, and we've got some extra little goodies on there. And the plaque reads, "To Vice Mayor Thelda Williams, in appreciation of your leadership and dedicated service to the residents of Phoenix, from your friends at Phoenix Public Works." So again, Vice Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership. The Public Works Department is very appreciative of all your guidance over the years. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I will tell you, you have a great department and dedicated workers, and you are very impressive. You're always thinking ahead, very innovative. So thank you very much, and thank you for this garbage truck. I love it. Means my daughter's gonna have to build another shelf.
Thank you, Joe and Felisa. So next we'll have Keeney Knudsen from Streets come up.
Good morning, Vice Mayor. I also brought up Brianna here with me today because she's been a staple at these meetings and doing presentations, and so I know she's enjoyed working with you as much as I have. So Vice Mayor, I just wanted to say it's been my utmost pleasure to work with you during your most recent tenure. Being able to do this in the director role and be able to work with you so closely has been, as kind of Chad talked about, be able to learn a lot from somebody who's been there, done that, and I really counted a pleasure and an honor to have worked with you. And from our department perspective, you have truly been a champion and a friend to our department. And so what we have for you is a Leaving Phoenix sign. Hopefully you don't have one already, but for this one, we know that this one will hopefully be special and near and dear to your heart. It honors your time as a council member, as a vice mayor, and actually as mayor as well. So there's two things we highlighted on there. The first one was T2050, Transportation 2050. We have our logo on there. And I think the one thing that has been game-changing and transformative for our city is the Transportation 2050 program, the 35-year transportation plan. And you have been a steadfast supporter of transportation. I know Jesus will talk about that as well. The other item we had on there was the Heads Up program, and that was really focused in on making sure our roadways are safe, especially for pedestrians. And I know you had a starring role, an acting role. I'm not sure if you have your Screen Actors Guild card or not, in our pedestrian safety public service announcement. So you were always a champion of that as well. But one thing I just wanted to highlight was your time as most recently as mayor, your challenge to us as a department to put together a $200 million accelerated pavement maintenance program to really change how our streets looked and how they felt. And it was going to be a benefit for our visitors, our businesses, and our residents for years to come. And I want to thank you for that. I will hold special memories of December 2019 when we were out on Thunderbird Road celebrating the first year of that paving completion. So I want to thank you. You will be sorely missed. Brianna, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Good morning, Vice Mayor. I did want to say thank you so much for all your support of our department. I truly appreciate you championing, making sure that our roadways are safe. I too am passionate about safety for our roadways. In addition to, you worked with us to find real solutions to transportation issues, and so thank you for your support over all of the years.
Oh, well, thank you. I thought you were gonna give me another fishy tale like you did yesterday. Thank you so much. You guys have really performed well, the entire department. So I appreciate all you've done and all you will continue to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have public transit come up to the table. And then after transit will be the water department.
Good morning, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to sit here and take a few moments and allow us to thank you for your leadership over the years. As a District 1 resident myself, you've made yourself very accessible over the years, and I appreciate that. Your leadership in moving forward T2050 when that went to the voters, helping us get the message out of the importance of the continued expansion of street maintenance, pavement, ADA accessibility, bus and light rail service across the region was paramount in our message, and you helped with that greatly. Under your leadership over the years, we've seen dramatic investments in the region's transit system. Phoenix sets the bar, I think, very, very high for the region, and we collaborate very closely with our colleagues, and you've certainly been a leader in that process throughout. What we have for you today is a framed picture of Central Station. We wanted to have something that you could put up on your wall and look at on occasion because we talked internally and we felt that the changes that have gone on at Central Station, that is a picture after the last time we refurbished it. But as you know, it is about to be redeveloped, but it will nonetheless stay a very focal point of the region's transit system. So hopefully you can hang that somewhere and occasionally look at it and look back in fondness with not only the changes in the transit program across the region, but how that reflects the change that has gone on in the downtown area. And again, you have played a crucial role in that. Your leadership, your accessibility, knowledge, and experience has served all of us well, and we truly, truly appreciate that. On a personal note, I want to thank you for your accessibility. As my son worked his way through his Eagle Scout achievement with the Boy Scouts, you allowed me to come in and share your knowledge with him, and that was a very personal and touching moment for me. And he remembers that fondly, and he has the certificate you gave him. So huge thanks to you for your leadership and accessibility. With that, I will turn it over to Marcus.
Vice Mayor, I would just like to say thank you for your continued leadership and support as you are so key and are able to do the Northwest Extension Phase 2 project as well as our Northwest Extension Phase 1. You have championed this project from the very beginning. I thank you for your willingness to not only give insight, but to push us to do better, to push us to do more, to engage with the community, make sure that we're supporting our businesses to the best of our ability, and making sure that everyone is an interactive part of these projects as they go through. As you know, when we do our briefings, I like to say, because of your guidance, these are projects that we're doing with the community and not to the community. And I just really want to end on saying thank you for that.
Well, thank you both very much, and thank your staffs. I will tell you are very responsive, you're very creative, and willing to work hard to make things happen, to make this city better. And you're doing an outstanding job. So thank you both very much, and I appreciate this. I will have it in my office at home so I can see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And then last but not least, last only because they're later in the alphabet, is the Water Services Department to make some comments as well.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, as I reflect on your time with the city, as I sat here today, what I was reflecting on is you've been a champion of water, but it actually appears as if you are a champion of the city. If you reflect through all of the departments that have come up and talked about what you've meant to them and all the initiatives that they've tried to move forward and move our city forward, that's what I'm left with. With respect to the Water Services Department, you were invaluable to us. In your leadership and dedication to our issues, whether that was Colorado River issues, drought infrastructure, or just regular infrastructure that we have to go and put into place to ensure that we have safe, clean, reliable drinking water for generations to come. It was your leadership that allow us to maneuver and get those things accomplished during your time frame. So with respect to the Water Services Department, we appreciate you and we appreciate your time with us. And because of what you've meant to us, we wanted to give you a piece of us. Mario has one of our tokens here. A little bit of explanation. It is a lamp with a clock. The base of it is out of a 500 horsepower motor from the South Mountain Booster Pump Station. It's a bearing assembly that holds the bearings of pump that we use to pump to Ahwatukee. The middle piece, you and I got together about 7 years ago to install a water meter at a fire station, which was an initiative with the automatic meter reading systems. So this was the last water meter reading system that was installed in the city. We removed the meter and placed a clock in it so you can remember us every time that you're trying to figure out what time it is. But with that, that's our gratitude to you, and we really appreciate your dedication to us. Thank you.
This is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I'll tell you what, you have really set Phoenix apart from so many other cities. I love Phoenix, and I think it's one of the best cities in the world. But I will give you, the water department, a lot of credit for that. We are always able to produce, create, and expand as needed with quality water. So thank you all, and thank your whole department very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, Mario, that was quite impressive.
All right, so if you want to turn it over to the subcommittee members.
Yeah. Now to the subcommittee. Councilman Corrado?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to repeat a lot of what has been said, but it's been an honor, and it's been a true pleasure working with you on this subcommittee. Coming into council as a new council member, I definitely needed a lot of guidance. I feel like I learned a lot from you. I learned a lot from this subcommittee. It was very challenging times when I ran for office. No one told me that we were going to be going through a pandemic 6 months into the job. And I think that, there were some things that we disagree with, and that's okay. We agreed to disagree, but there were so many amazing things that we were able to do together. I cannot thank you enough for all of your support for the workers at the airport. Like I love how much you love the airport and want to make sure that airport thrives. I think that even as a union organizer, seeing you make sure that the airport was able to produce and making sure that the airport thrived the way that it did, I think it was under your leadership and everything that you did as a councilwoman, as a mayor, as a vice mayor, and then also the repaving of the streets. I think Mario and everyone can tell you that I have a huge passion for streets, and coming into council and being able to enjoy all the work that you did and being able to see all of the streets that are now paved in District 5. We had tons of potholes, and I know that through the whole city there were many challenges, and to see you taking that on and the way that you did and that leadership that you asserted through that, I thought it was amazing, and it's something that helped the whole city. So I wish that we had more time together, but the 2 years and change that we did have together, I really enjoyed them. I really learned a lot from you. I'm hopeful that the day that I leave the council, I can leave with all the achievements that you're leaving with today. Like I feel like that we now get to build on the foundation that you put out there for all of us. And now we're hoping to be, my goal is to be able to continue to expand on that. Hopefully you will continue to take my phone calls after you're done here. I know that we'll definitely keep in touch with you and keep calling you and getting advice from you, because there's so many things that you did. And again, can't thank you enough for all of your support and all of your leadership and everything that we were able to do in the last 6 months and being able to move the airport forward. I don't think that we would have been able to do it without you and with your leadership and your support. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I expect you to take care of the airport.
Will do. Yes, ma'am. I will do that.
Councilwoman Stark?
Thank you. It is such an honor to know you. What makes you a class act is, as you sit here and get all this praise, you're very humble, and you still really recognize the great staff that we have. Infrastructure is the backbone of our city. Water, you've been a leader in the issue of water. We need to protect our water supply, and you certainly recognize that and led the charge on that. Streets, a special thanks on the accelerated pavement program. I got to tell you, I was driving 7th Street today. Boy, it was so nice to be on a smooth road. Flood control, the airport, you've certainly been an ambassador for the airport. Public transit, you've definitely been a champion for public transit. And solid waste, we've been so much, especially in the area of recycling. Your leadership has been outstanding on all the issues related to infrastructure, but then your leadership on all city issues has been outstanding. I'm lucky that I get to call you a friend. I hope you let me call you a friend. I have learned so much from you. Vice Mayor, you have been a force to be reckoned with on this council. Your love for this city reflects in so many of your decisions. I hope you stay active in our city. We still need you. And I hope to continue to see you and call you a friend. I am most definitely going to miss you. Seeing you on the dais, especially, we haven't been on the dais in a few months, but it will be sad to see you not sitting up there with you. Bless everything you've done for the city and for me. I really appreciate it. You are the best. I hope to see you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you will always be my friend. And I couldn't have done a lot of this without all of you. Councilwoman Pastor?
Save the best for last, right, Zelda?
Right. Get me in trouble one more time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I wanted to enter in with being a few minutes late. I've been sitting here just listening, and wanted to just give you that one last scolding to me for being late. I'll never forget the first time I was elected, and it was the state of the city, and I was sitting next to Councilwoman Williams, and it had started and the lights were down, and I moved my way to the seat, and Councilwoman Williams says, "Laura, I need to tell you something." I go, "Uh-huh." And in her tone, she says, "You're always fashionably late. We like to get things started on time and like to have you present." And I started chuckling, and I just said, "Yes, I am." I said, "Because I just like to sneak in and then be able to sit down and enjoy what I'm doing." I said, "But I will promise you, I will do always my best to be there on time." And after that, I was very conscious of trying to get to my meetings on time, or being even a few minutes early just to surprise her. So today I was a few minutes late, and I happened to do it kind of purposely because I wanted to just say, I'm still here, Thelda. I really appreciate all of what you've done for the city. Yeah, you've dedicated your life, your family has sacrificed also for your dedication of the city, but they also had a great love over the city. And so I also want to thank your family for, in a way, allowing all of us, but also allowing the sacrifice to happen in order to create a great city. So I'm really thankful for your family, and I'm thankful for you and all the work that you've done. You are a fighter, and a fierce fighter at that. You are smart in how you move and strategic on how you move. And I learned a lot from you, and I watched you a lot in how you maneuvered. And you would sometimes, at every time every conversation you had, you would make everybody feel good and say, yes, okay, this, there, but you really never gave your opinion or your stance. And people would walk away and say, oh, I think I have her support. And then things would happen and move, and you would stay in the transition of where decisions were going to be made. And then you would finally land and say, no, this is where I'm at. I didn't say anything at the beginning because I wanted to see how this process was going to transpire. So I learned that, because I also learned that being upfront and honest, which I always am, sometimes doesn't help. Sometimes you have to sit and wait to see how it all unveils and gets to the point where it's ready for a vote. So I appreciate that. And I learned that, and that's something is what I call is patience. Patience in the sense of there are just so many different ways an item can change. And when you make a decision up front, it could also, this decision, the piece always evolves, and maybe the decision that you made up front is not the right decision at the end. So I learned that. It took me a while, but I did learn that. I also wanted to point out that as a teacher, because we kind of share that background as a teacher, we share the holidays. And so by sharing the holidays, it was for me like, okay, what's Thelda putting up? I have to put up, what are we going to do? And I think that's fun for the 11th floor to be able to do and see what everybody does in a fun, decorative fashion. So I like that we were able to bond over that and see how we were going to decorate our offices. But I would also say you are probably the most fashionable councilwoman on the floor. And I always had to say, okay, where did you get those shoes? Because you always had the great shoes. And you always wore a heel, which I cannot wear. And I was so impressed by the length of the heel. And I will miss that, because I would always look at your jewelry and say, okay, where did you get that piece? So I will miss that kind of being able to talk and speak on fashion. But what I'll miss the most, and I know I won't miss it because I also know, like everybody else, will be able to contact you and ask you about how do I handle this, or what's the history? How did this get here? Who was behind it? I will miss the most of sitting next to you, because I have been consistent in sitting next to you since I entered, because you taught me on the dais how to read the packet. You taught me how to read this is how it moves, Laura. This is what you need to write down. But you also taught me, because you also knew by sitting next to you, I asked 21 questions. And in cases, I'd be like, well, can they do that? Or why is this the way it is? And you would teach me, as we were sitting on the dais, what was happening with a certain agenda item. And so I learned from you as I was sitting up there, and if you notice, throughout the whole years, I never left you. You were my consistent next to me because I knew I needed to ask those questions in history. So I want to thank you for that and for being the teacher of the new generation. I'm now in the bubble. I don't know where I am in line with this council. I think I'm the one of the oldest, and so I'm glad you passed that on so that now we can help others that are new on the council. So appreciate it. We'll miss you, and of course, love ya.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Laura. You've been most helpful to me, and I appreciate all the hard work you've done on this committee. But I also am passing on the responsibility for animal cruelty prevention to you. I know you care a lot about that, and I think I want to see that continue because to me that's directly related to domestic violence and child abuse. And I will always support any efforts to eliminate those. So thank you, and I know you're interested and you've done some work. And you have a very creative staff, so again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Okay. Now, do you think we should have a real meeting?
Yes. Matt, did I hear that there were some speakers on this item?
Do we have any speakers on the item?
I do not believe that they have signed in yet, so I'm going to check in with IT, I think, at the end of the meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, Madam Chair, as you mentioned, you always have full agendas with lots of substantive items, and today is no exception. And so, yes, it would be great if we get started on the meeting.
Good. First item on minutes of the meetings. Is there any corrections, amendments, or a motion?
I move item number 1. Sorry,
Second.
Deb.
We have a motion and a second to move approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and pass unanimously. We have consent items 2 through 9. Does anyone have any questions about them? Number 8 on the backup materials does not say for consent, but it is.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
I'll
Motion?
move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. We have information items 10 through 14. Anyone have any questions? Okay, I see nodding no. Laura, did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Then we will go on to item 15, which is parking meter program update and issue requests for proposals for parking meter services. Do we have a staff presentation?
Yes, Madam Chair. Keeney Knutson, Street Transportation Director, and Brianna Velez, Assistant Director, are here to present on parking meter program.
Thank you, Mario. Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee, we're happy to talk to you today about the Phoenix Parking Meter Program update. This is a very important program. It's key for businesses to manage and turnover of parking and people who are coming to frequent theirs, especially in the downtown area. It has been an important revenue source for the city as well. And I think it's also important that we have a good, strong program for visitors coming into the downtown area, as it becomes a source of folks who come into the area for recreation purposes and be able to see what's going on in that downtown area. I would note that the presentation we have laid out for you today kind of goes through several things. One, recently we had some conversations with City Council about some concerns about the functionality and the operability of some of the parking meters in the downtown area. So we have some updates on that. I would also like to point out that the COVID pandemic that we've been dealing with for the last year has had impacts on the parking meter revenues, and so we'll be reviewing that as well. Finally, we're looking to the future with this program, and so we have a procurement we're looking at. So this item is actually for action related to the procurement to move out with a procurement for a request for proposals for parking meter equipment and services. And so we are always looking to grow and improve this program, and that's part of what we're going to plan on doing. So I'll let Brianna take it from here for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Keeney. Madam Chair and members of this subcommittee, as Keeney mentioned, the city's parking meter program provides an important source of revenue to the city, but also provides a benefit to the downtown businesses, restaurants, and events by managing access and use of on-street parking in the downtown and midtown areas of Phoenix. We currently operate a mix of 1,700 smart parking meters, which have credit card capability, plus coin, and 540 older coin-only parking meters. The coin-only parking meters operate in areas of low parking demand. The city also uses a third-party application for pay-by-phone services for the smart meters. Streets has received multiple complaints from the community, but the council members as well, regarding the quality and performance of the existing parking meters. The primary concerns were that the LCD screens were often unreadable, so customers could not successfully complete their transactions, and the meters were frequently inoperable, or a person could not determine if they were operable. In response to these concerns, Streets worked with our current parking meter vendor to quickly refurbish hundreds of parking meters, which includes new screens, for $95 rather than the cost of purchasing a new meter for $475. This was a cost savings of $380 per meter. Since October 2020, we have refurbished 540 parking meters and serviced 120 meters with new screens. We also have another 220 meters that are getting refurbished as we speak, and once deployed, this will address screen concerns in more than half of the current inventory. Battery performance was another issue related to inoperable meters, so staff implemented improvements to the battery maintenance, which will extend the life of the battery so that meters are operable and also generate savings for battery replacement costs. Now I want to touch on the revenue associated with the parking meter program. This graph represents a comparison for the last 3 years of revenue. Prior to 2020, revenues had been steadily increasing and reached approximately $3.9 million for fiscal year 2019, which was an increase of 17% from fiscal year 2016. However, beginning in March 2020, with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, parking meter revenues plummeted with an 86% drop in revenue in April 2020 as compared to April 2019. The total revenue for fiscal year 2020 was approximately $2.9 million, so a 25% decline from 2019. The current revenue projection for fiscal year 2021 is approximately $2.1 million. While revenues have begun to increase, February 2021 revenues were still down 41% from February 2020. As I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, the city uses a third-party mobile application for pay-by-phone services, which accounts for approximately 15% of the monthly revenue. The current contract with Park Mobile expires this November, but the city has an option to extend one additional year. Despite an increasing preference to pay by phone, payments by coin still account for approximately 30% of the revenue. Our current vendor for parking meter services is IPS Group, Inc., and the contract became effective in January 2013. The contract is set to expire on January 27, 2022. Streets operates 1,700 coin and credit card-enabled smart meters that operate on a proprietary financial software that utilizes wireless technology for two-way communication with the parking meters so they can accept and monitor payments, monitor their status and use, provide remote diagnostics, and also allow for settings to be changed remotely through the web-based management dashboard. With the upcoming expiration of the contract, it is necessary for Streets to procure a new parking meter services contract through the issuance of a request for proposal. Staff has revised the previous scope of work for the RFP with the goal to provide a parking meter system that meets the current and future needs of the city, which includes new technical specifications, improved web interfacing for program management. We want to continue to require and promote pay-by-phone capabilities. We want to enhance the customer experience by minimizing inoperable meters. And with the advancement of technology since 2013, the RFP will consider future opportunities for enhancements such as enforcement tools and sensor equipment. The RFP will also include potential leasing and financing options should a new vendor be selected and the smart parking meter inventory needs to be fully replaced. And with that, we request that the Transportation Infrastructure and Innovation Subcommittee recommend City Council approval to issue an RFP for parking meter equipment and services. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What I noticed with the parking meters currently, the current RFP, is that it seems like every time, it's kind of like the scooter thing, every time I go and park at a meter, somehow, some way, it's not working. Or you can't read the meter because the way the sun is hitting it. And I call, they have the number and I call on those meters. So when we go out for an RFP, do we ask what their maintenance plan is on the meters? Because the technology, what it seems like is the technology that they're using, because I think it's a little computer, I don't know how it works, but it feels like the weather and the heat then burns that internal motor, and that's what causes the meters not to work that often.
Madam Chair and Councilwoman Pastor, yes, so some of the issues that we've really been running into related to the meters, so when they are inoperable, what we have found was that the battery life wasn't lasting as long as they should have. So obviously the heat is something that we have to take into consideration, but we really looked at our maintenance overall of the batteries, and we were able to determine some techniques that we could do that we have seen improve battery performance. So the hope would be that these batteries are definitely lasting longer. I think one of the parts of the RFP that we are making sure that we are making modification is obviously the program management of it, so the web interface, and making sure that we know when meters aren't operable, and so that we can make sure we are being diligent and getting out there and repairing those meters. The other issue is the screens, right? And so they are in direct sunlight. They have deteriorated. Right now, with our current contract for the screen replacement, we actually have to send in the meter back to the vendor, and that's one of the technical specifications that we have changed on the new upcoming RFP, because we actually have meter maintenance staff that we have here in City of Phoenix, and so we want to have the ability to go out there and replace the screen immediately and not have to ship out the actual entire meter casing to the vendor. So those are some of the technical specifications that we will be making to make sure that we have an enhanced customer experience for the users of our parking meter system.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, if I may add on as well, Brianna mentioned our parking meter staff as well, and that's something we're evaluating as well to make sure we're being more proactive and being able to address any of the kind of those operability issues, so that even though that it is still up to, sometimes that we will be welcome to have people who are visitors or people wanting to use the meters who can call in issues with it. We want to be out there proactively addressing those as well. So that's something we're going to be increasing our efforts as well and looking at staffing.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve this and send it forward?
Motion to approve item, 15.
Do I have a
Second.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Nay for anyone who doesn't agree. I believe we have a unanimous ayes. It moves forward. Thank you. Thank you, Keeney and Brianna. Now we go to item 16. I ask that this be put on the fiber optic infrastructure update, because people keep telling me that's what I'm seeing along some of the highways and places. So I want to know who, what, and why.
Well, thank you, Vice Mayor, Madam Chair, and members of the subcommittee for the opportunity to be able to present this. And yeah, it was at your request, but I think what I would highlight is that it is quite timely. We have a couple items from our department, from the Street Transportation Department, where we're talking about some construction of some upcoming fiber projects. So I think us having a conversation about how we look at this from a citywide perspective to ensure we're being coordinated across all our departments and working together on this to support our operations and services is very worthwhile to talk. Before I get into the presentation, I did want to highlight that there are different things that people may see out when they see fiber optic projects. We have private fiber projects where we're working with private utility companies who are putting fiber in our right-of-way or in easements, public utility easements, where they are supporting private operations and private needs, whether that's for schools, whether it's for businesses. They have, or for their own purposes, they have the ability to do that through licenses that we have issued for working in the right-of-way. What I'm going to be focusing on today is more on the public infrastructure side, what we do from our fiber on the public side. So the first thing, first slide here, is I wanted to highlight the Information Technology Services Department. They are our leaders in fiber optic coordination. And I would mention that although I'm going to be taking through the presentation today, we have Scott Davis, who's in the audience. If there are any questions that come about citywide ITS services when it comes to fiber or the fiber that's controlled by the city, Scott is here to be able to answering those questions. But I did want to highlight the fact that ITS does serve an important key role in coordinating the efforts of our departments and what our needs are from communication and connectivity. So when they're providing that client department support and oversight, if a department has a need for fiber service or fiber connectivity, the first thing they do is they go to the ITS department and request that, and ITS works and coordinates with our existing fiber infrastructure and backbone to be able to meet that need based on the need of the department. When we're talking about fiber optic infrastructure, the four major departments who are working in the fiber area and have fiber needs are the Street Transportation Department, the Fire Department, Aviation, and Water Services. Now, when you're talking about the Aviation and Water Services departments, what they do when they're working at the fiber is they're working on how to work within their own campuses, within their own plants, to be able to provide connectivity through there. When you're talking about fiber that's in the right-of-way, the majority of that is laid in and placed by the Street Transportation Department. But there are individual efforts to be able to grow and expand fiber. But like I said, whatever we do, whether we're individual departments, at the end of the day, those are all managed and maintained by the ITS department. Now, when you're looking at what we've been able to accomplish over the last few decades when it comes to fiber, we have 333 miles of installed public fiber that's backbone fiber for our needs as city departments. When we look at that, that's ITS is managing that through that to provide enterprise network connectivity for all city departments. And these fiber optic assets were installed through city, departmental, and federal transportation projects and acquired through conveyance from service providers in lieu of license fees. So a lot of this, the majority of all this is through city right-of-way or on city property itself. When we're talking about new fiber, though, as I kind of alluded to the beginning, was the majority of the new fiber that's put into place is through the street transportation, through our efforts. But when we're looking at what we're doing from the street transportation perspective, the main purpose we do it is for our traffic signal connectivity and communication. As you may know, we have over 1,200 traffic signals that we're operating and maintaining on a daily basis, and we actually have another one that's going to be operable about another few minutes here at 56th Street in Mayo that we're turning on this morning. So the communications and connectivity piece and having that direct connectivity to our traffic management center and at City Hall is important because that helps us to have a better, more reliable communication than over the air radio transmission. And we're able, through the Traffic Management Center, to be able to control and monitor those the traffic signals, especially for any kind of events or incidents that may occur that result in the need for better control of our traffic signals. So I mentioned the upcoming projects that we have going on with the street transportation. The first one I wanted to highlight was Indian School Road. This is from Fire Station 54, which is out on 99th Avenue and Campbell Avenue, all the way to 27th Avenue in Camelback. So that's out for, like I said, by Fire Station 54 to connectivity there. The second one we have going on is a baseline road connectivity from Congressman Ed Pastor Freeway all the way to Interstate 10, so the entire length of the baseline corridor from freeway to freeway. And those those two projects combined are going to provide 24 miles of additional fiber for the city's backbone, and it's going to provide connectivity to the street transportation department, but also the ability for other departments to be able to connect in along Baseline Road and Indian School on those category areas to be able to have their own fiber needs connected. I would highlight that this is not just city money doing this. Although these two projects total about $9 million, they are only using about $1.7 million in T2050 technology enhancements monies. The rest are used coming from the federal sources to help us expand that fiber. But looking to the future beyond those two projects, the Street Transportation Department has future priority corridors that we're looking at. 4 of them I'll just note here: 7th Street between McDowell and Dunlap, Thunderbird Road from State Route 51 to Fire Station 31 on 57th Street, Broadway Road from Congressman Ed Pastor Freeway to I-10, so kind of the same thing we did on Baseline Road but on Broadway Road, and then also the same thing on Buckeye Road from Congressman Ed Pastor Freeway to I-17. So when we look at just expansion of fiber, it's about $200,000 a mile to put in fiber for the city. And for fiscal year 2023, so the next ones we have going on, budgeted funding for, we have about 2 to 3 miles that we have budgeted to be able to do in that. Of course, the more we're able to leverage federal sources and other sources, the more that our local monies can achieve. So that takes you through our presentation on what we've done from a citywide fiber optic perspective. I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that the subcommittee may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilwoman Pastor?
So Keeney, on the fiber optic from the Ed Pastor Freeway, that's the Levine area, am I correct?
That is correct, Councilwoman Pastor.
Okay. The timeline is within the next year, or wait, 2023?
Oh, sorry, for both the Indian School Road project and the Baseline Road project, we'll be coming to council for actually approval to move forward with the construction of those projects here shortly. I think we'll both be able to do, I think Indian School Road is actually on the 21st agenda on April 21. The Baseline Road might be the same agenda or slightly later before summer recess.
And the reason why I'm asking is because working on the digital divide, Levine, when you go around past the mountain, or the mountain is we're unable to, or they're unable to get any connectivity around the mountain or in that area. So in studying the digital divide, we know that area is is one of the pockets that we're looking at to try to be able to get accessibility. They may have a laptop and they may have a hotspot, but connectivity is what the key, and it's all around that area because of the fiber optic. So that's why I'm asking, because then it will help. It'll assist with the area, but it'll also assist with the school system to then be able to connect.
Yes, Madam Chair and Councilwoman Pastor, I think as we expand our fiber, it obviously is available for us to support city departments that are out there, but if the city is also interested in working on other things like digital divide and providing services to the public, that they do have the ability to do that as well, depending on the capacity of those fiber lines.
Okay, because that's good to know, because we do have a MOU or an IGA regarding the city, Phoenix Union, and the 14 other schools that feed into Phoenix Union, plus the Maricopa Community College. And GPEC is part of this to do that. So we are leveraging some of our fiber. So I would like to talk offline, maybe we look at how strong that fiber is.
We'll keep that there and make sure we get with you on that as well, Councilwoman Pastor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. It's been a pleasure.
Next is the Light Rail Business Assistance Program.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This item is on the Light Rail Small Business Assistance Program. And I just want to mention again, your great leadership, and you've been a great champion for transit as we talked about earlier, and light rail as well. So here to give an update on the progress that's been made with the Small Business Assistance Program and share some good news about all the efforts that are being worked on that this subcommittee helped get through and lead on as well is Marcus Coleman, our light rail administrator, along with Hillary Foose from Valley Metro. She's the Director of Communications and Strategic Initiatives there. And so I'll turn it over to Marcus to get going on the program update.
Good, thank you. Welcome, Marcus and Hillary.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, thank you for having us. As Mario stated, this was something that was requested by the subcommittee. We're very happy to come before you today to be able to give you an update on the business assistance programs that are associated with both of our current projects that are in construction, the South Central and our Northwest Extension. I also wanted to introduce Eileen Urish, who is our Technical Assistance Manager, who oversees the technical assistance piece of the business assistance program that is being implemented by Valley Metro. With that, I will turn it over to Hillary Foose to start the presentation for us.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. It's our pleasure to be with you this morning and talking about the Business Assistance Program. A little bit about the program. Our goal with the program, as you know, and this subcommittee has been hugely supportive of our high-capacity transit programs in the region. As important as those programs are to our regional mobility, equally important is how we take care of the business community. Our goal with our programs are to really minimize impacts and support their retention along these construction corridors. We've been doing so since the mid-2000s, and we've been improving and tailoring these programs across our last 6 construction projects. And today we'll really focus on the programs that are available to our 2 very active construction projects, our South Central Extension Downtown Hub and Northwest Extension Phase 2. There are 3 distinctive efforts that we're really going to focus on today that are part of the business assistance umbrella: construction mitigation and marketing, technical assistance, and a brand new program that we're really proud to talk about that really comes about thanks to business feedback and your support, which is direct financial assistance. I really am happy to showcase these 3 women. These 3 women are our business assistance coordinators for our 2 projects, Flor Mason, Victoria Bray, and Bree Belke. One of the areas that we really strengthened for these 2 construction projects is our one person, one contact philosophy. That these businesses, we really want to care for them. There's a lot going on with this business community, as you can appreciate. And so these women serve as their single points of contact for any needs they may have, any questions, any concerns. They know what's going on with their businesses, frontwards and backwards. And so Flor, Victoria, and Bree have created and continue to nurture very special relationships with their businesses along their assigned corridors. And so all the programs you're going to hear about today, their business assistance coordinators is at the center of understanding what their businesses are involved in and make sure they stay satisfied and have all the resources that they need. Talking about the first distinct area that we're focused on, construction mitigation and marking. It's probably what you typically think of as business assistance. Certainly construction notification is part and parcel to what we do, making sure that we resolve and understand business issues, resolve them quickly, maintain access. That's an ongoing effort. Clean work zones, that's part and parcel, foundational to what we do. Marketing, we also do a substantial amount of marketing to really drive business to our businesses along these corridors, really focused on shopping local. We do mailers, holiday mailers, seasonal mailers, including coupons and featured discounts, again, to drive business to these businesses during these difficult times. One thing I'll point out in terms of transition during the pandemic, we started with meet and eats and transitioned to grab and goes as these lunch promotions we like to do to really drive business during lunchtime to a specific restaurant across a week. We really have focus on a particular restaurant, usually 1 per week. Really push that through marketing, push it with our construction teams. We have a lot of very hungry construction workers, as you can imagine, to really frequent and visit local businesses. And I do have some stats at the end of our presentation here today that'll show you how many we've done so far. Signage, we do a lot of signage. We have hundreds of banners and wayfinding signs to really help with promotion of the business, wayfinding to the business, make sure that we maintain business access. Deals and Discounts interactive map, it's a way for us to continue to push that shop local message. We have 42 businesses participating in our interactive map for South Central right now as an example, and it's a way that we highlight businesses and again continue to drive business their way. Community events, as you can imagine, have been interesting in this environment. We haven't been able to be as active as we'd like to in the events side of our business, but we have transitioned to doing more social media marketing. You'll see the picture here on the bottom right as we've done more advertising in the local area to try and drive business. That's an example of a bus stop kiosk we did recently to try and push shopping local. So we're trying to be creative even in a time where events haven't been as frequent, but we hope to get back to it soon. Technical assistance, I will be turning it over to Eileen Urish here, but technical assistance is professional consulting services that we provide at no cost to businesses in these corridors. It's been part of our program since the very beginning, but we continue to enhance it and grow it and tailor it for the businesses engaged in these two corridors. Eileen has been part of our program from the very beginning. It's our pleasure to have her as part of our program today. So Eileen, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. As Hillary mentioned, this has been a significant part of the business assistance program for all of the projects that we've worked on, and it is really providing customized consulting, professional consulting services to the businesses being impacted by the construction project. The areas that we found are most critical and the businesses are most interested in receiving services relate to marketing and advertising, website development and their online presence on social media, accounting and financial projects, general business, and human resources. These projects, one of the things that's important about the projects that we have is our ability to customize them for the businesses. We have 7 different teams available who can help us work with these businesses. And the unique value that we bring is that each business can have a consulting project customized specifically to their needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all. We go out, meet with the business, really understand what they need, and then identify a plan to help address their projects and their issues on an individual basis. So our projects vary from being something very simple, answering some questions, providing some guidance to them, to helping them set up accounting systems or entire marketing programs. It's a very unique project that we rely very heavily on the expertise of our technical assistance consultants. So through this program, our goal is to really work on their internal issues. We've got the marketing and the wayfinding activities to deal with the external factors, but we're working with them on the internal issues, and in some cases, providing them with services that a small business may have never been able to afford on their own, to bring in a professional consultant to come in and help them develop a website or help them set up an accounting system. We can help them do those things and help position their business not only to help them through the construction process, but to be able to put them in a stronger position for once construction is over and they're able to take on new business, bring new customers, add new projects or products or services into their business. That's what we're hoping to do. We're working on those initial pieces to get them through construction, but then ideally it's how do we help build this business for the future and make them sustainable in the long term. And that's really what we hope to do. So far, we've done 28 consultations, which have resulted in about 16 projects. And these have ranged from helping a retail operation establish their social media presence, helping create marketing materials for a restaurant, rebranding them and helping them redesign banners, menus, the whole range of marketing for them within their business. We've also helped a restaurant work on an employee handbook, and we have provided assistance to several businesses as they were going through the grant application process, and we're actually able to help 2 businesses receive grants as as part of the program. Now, the technical assistance teams that we have available to us are Ultima Business Solutions, Arizona's Builders Exchange, Central Creative, Cahoots, Elamon1234.com, Gun Communications, and the Idea Gardener. These teams represent a great wealth of experience and expertise in these areas. Many of them cover several areas, so they're working, each of these firms provide services in a variety of areas for us. So over the past month or so, we have been meeting extensively with these consulting firms to get a better understanding of where their expertise is, where their capabilities are, so that we have, when we go and meet these businesses, we can identify the technical assistance consultant that's going to be the best fit for them because they've worked in a similar industry. They have experience working with restaurants, or they have experience working in a retailer or personal services environment. We can match the right consultant to work with the business owner so that the business owner feels comfortable, we can move projects forward quickly, and we have a good outcome for everyone. So we've got this group of amazing consultants that we're getting started working with, but we have an opportunity here to provide a full range of services to the businesses. So that's really exciting. When we met with these consultants, they've just provided us with a lot of options, because what we typically see, based on the projects that we've worked before, we obviously see a lot of interest in marketing and advertising. How do I get more customers into my business? People are trying to learn more about social media, using websites, using Instagram and Facebook. How do I get my business out there, and how can I do it the most cost-effective way possible? We also work with them if they're looking at designing marketing materials or different pieces, whether it's menus or to-go boxes, whatever it might be, we help do that design for them. We have businesses that are looking for help with a business plan. If they're looking for a loan, or if they're looking to make some significant changes in how their business is operating, we have consultants who can help them go through that business and strategic planning process to make sure they're prepared for it. One of the other key areas we work with these businesses on is setting up accounting systems. A lot of these small businesses tend to manage their businesses, very close to the vest. They're using their checkbooks. They're doing their accounting in time to file their taxes. We have the opportunity to take them to a new level, implement accounting systems for them so they're better able to manage their costs and expenses, especially as they're going through construction and really watching how they're spending their money and making sure they're operating as efficiently as they possibly can. We also work with them on employee retention programs, point of sale systems, basically anything the business needs. We have an opportunity to work with them because, again, our strength is our ability to provide this customized service to the businesses. The goal of the program is to get our consultants out to the businesses as quickly as possible, get them the resources they need to address the challenges that they're having, or to help better position them going forward. So once a business expresses a need, we're typically looking at probably between 6 and 12 business days for a consultant to actually get out there and begin working with the business owner. The one thing that's important about this, and Hillary mentioned this earlier, this program focuses on the relationship that the business assistance coordinator has with the business owner. Because that business assistance coordinator comes back and will contact myself and say, they're having a challenge. They need some help. We need to work with them. So the business owner is sharing their concern with the business assistance coordinator. They're bringing in the technical assistance program to help move it forward. And right now, the program is set where if the business feels more comfortable, the business assistance coordinator will participate in the initial meetings. If it's not, we want this to be as comfortable for the business owner as possible and to make this a very smooth and seamless transition. So once we know the business has a need, we go out and meet with the business to understand how the business operates, what their challenges are, and what their needs are. This allows us to come up with an overall plan of where they need assistance. And this allows us to identify the appropriate technical assistance consultant to be able to work with that business. Once that's done, the technical assistance consultant works directly with the business to get more information and the data that they need to be able to create a full scope of work for how they're going to help this business, what the deliverables are going to be, and what the time frame is going to look like for success in this project. Once the technical assistance consultant prepares that plan, they're also doing their Dbe Outreach. As this program has federal funds, Dbe Outreach is part of the plan, so that works into this process. Once we've got the scope of work and the Dbe Outreach has been completed, it moves through the approval process, a task order is prepared, and at that point, the consultant can begin working directly with the business owner. And these projects can range anywhere from a day to a couple of months. In some cases, we've worked with businesses where they just needed some assistance filling out an application for one of the grant programs. We can take care of that in an afternoon for them. But if they're looking at a full marketing plan or needing help with setting up an accounting system, we're probably looking at potentially 2 months or so to get that done. It really depends on how complex the project is and how quickly the business owner is able to move forward with it. During that whole process, the business assistance coordinator is staying in touch with the business owner. The technical assistance manager is checking back in to make sure that things are moving the way they're supposed to be moving, that we're not running into any obstacles. Or in some cases, once a consultant starts working with a business, we find there are some other needs. And we may need to come back and shift and say, okay, wait, let's work on this. Or we have another consultant who may be able to assist you in this area as well. So it's definitely something that we're staying actively involved in and knowing how it's moving forward to make sure that we're staying on target and delivering on the expectations of the business owner. Once the project's complete, we do a feedback survey to make sure that the business owner was satisfied, and if for some reason we missed something or there's something additional that they need help with, we've got that information right away that we can continue to move forward and make sure that they're satisfied at the end of this project.
I have a question. Do you have someone who goes out door to door to the businesses telling them that this is available, or do they have to find out on their own and call you for help?
This is basically being presented to the businesses when the business assistance coordinators are going out and meeting with them on a regular basis. This is one of the programs that gets discussed with the businesses by the business assistance coordinators. And we will be looking to do a little bit more promotion of it now that we have the consultants on board, and we're also wanted to time it after the fund promotional information went out. We're going to be promoting it more actively, but the business assistance coordinators speak with the business owners on a regular basis about the availability of this technical assistance program.
Thank you, Eileen. Speaking of the fund, we're happy to talk to you about a brand new program, Direct Financial Assistance. After many, many years of hearing loud and clear from the business community that while they appreciate our programming, technical assistance, our marketing, our signage, really direct financial assistance is what they feel would most benefit them. And really thanks to strong encouragement from this council, this body, and working closely with city staff, we've been able to develop this first of its kind program for Metro Phoenix, which is our small business financial assistance pilot program. We're really proud of this program, and we're just launching it here just a couple weeks ago. It really is a financial assistance program really dedicated to supporting small and locally owned businesses along our 2 construction corridors, those that are immediately adjacent, so those that are really impacted by the construction. There is 2 tiers of financial assistance, Tier 1 at $3,000, Tier 2 at up to $9,000. Again, a new program really developed based on a lot of listening to the business community, and we appreciate the business community for continuing to be vocal with us about what they need. Also based on some past programming and looking at our peers and trying to always improve upon our program. And I can't say enough about we would not be here if it would not be for the support of this council and the funding provided by Transportation 2050 and the Phoenix Community Development Investment Corporation, giving us $2.3 million to get this program off the ground. So after a very expeditious development process and program startup, we launched the program just a couple weeks ago in the middle of March. Obviously to a flurry of interest. And our business assistance coordinators working with Prestamos have been very active in canvassing and making sure the businesses are aware of this program. And I do have some stats here coming up actually in my next slide talking about the participation thus far in the variety of programs that we offer. These are the participation metrics for our South Central Extension Downtown Hub. We have 281 businesses across the corridor participating in one or more of our programs, and we're really pleased with that number. It represents a lot of hard work on behalf of our team and really a lot of hard work on behalf of the businesses. Obviously, you can see it represents a lot of signage. Signage is very popular with our businesses. I mentioned the grab and goes earlier. We've had 35 of them, 96% of the participating businesses saying it was worthwhile, 100% saying they do it again. So obviously we're hitting a strong note there with some of our lunch promotions. Eileen mentioned the technical assistance, and obviously that program will continue to grow in those numbers. And the direct financial assistance, we have 42 businesses in the application queue. Grant funding will start to be distributed next week, and again, we're very excited about that program. It really is meaningful to businesses, and we're hearing a lot of great feedback. Northwest Extension, these are the participation status from the businesses along that corridor. Again, it rolled out just last year, so this program is just getting rolling. And the business community on Northwest Extension Phase 2, obviously a bit different than South Central, but equally important. So again, signage very popular. One thing to note there, we had our first Friends of Transit luncheon on March 16th. It's that 4th line down. We had 100 people in attendance at First Watch, and the manager said he would absolutely participate again, and we look forward to more lunch promotions and restaurant promotions in that corridor as well. And we are canvassing for sharing about technical assistance and, of course, our direct financial assistance program there as well. So with that, I just wanted to share that we're really dedicated to supporting the businesses along these corridors. We recognize it's a uniquely difficult time, and we will continue to work very hard with the City of Phoenix and with our team and our consultants to really deliver for these businesses. And if I could take a moment on behalf of Valley Metro's employees, our board, our CEO, we also want to thank Vice Mayor Williams for her dedication and such strong support for transit over the years. So thank you, Vice Mayor. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Councilwoman Pastor, did you have questions?
Oh, I have tons, but I don't want to, I want, if others have questions, to go before me because I have tons of questions.
Anyone else have questions? I don't see anybody else but you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to go back to technical assistance slides. And I was just, I'm gonna lay the groundwork as to why there's such great interest, in particular for me, South Phoenix corridor. because basically I know that area that like the back of my hand, and know those families that are impacted by the light rail currently, and have been out in the area and traveling the area and seeing what is happening. I have great interest. Councilman Garcia, I think the whole council has a great interest in this, but Councilman Garcia also has been asked to lead and step in on the South Central. So we have had several meetings with business owners, starting from, I want to say it was the holidays in December. And we heard clearly from the business owners what their needs were and what they wanted to see. And obviously, I want to say thank you to my colleagues and everybody for direct financial assistance that then we were able to build and put together and make sure that it would happen. But in the business assistance, direct financial assistance, several of the businesses called me and saying, wait a minute, the discussion that we had, it's not rolling out the way it should be. And some of that was with the tiers and really what criteria is being asked for. So I did talk to Mario about it. And Mario, can you give me an update or tell me what's happening with the criteria for tier 1 and tier 2?
Yes, absolutely, Councilwoman Pastor. One of the questions that we talked about had to do with
So I don't want it, right?
There we go. Okay. There I'm. So the need for us for between tier 1 and tier 2, and the need for a business to provide financial records demonstrating a revenue loss. And so that's one of the things that was set up between the two tiers. For the second tier of funding, but businesses do need to be able to demonstrate that there was a revenue loss based on their financial records. And so, but there was a question that you brought up, that you raised to us, that we are making a change to. We really appreciate you bringing that forward along with Councilman Garcia regarding the amount of time that the financial records need to reflect. And so we had in there in the application that they needed to provide the last year's worth of financial records in addition to the records currently to demonstrate that loss. And so we're clarifying that to say that the records only need to show that there's a clear revenue loss for the months in question. And so again, I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because government, when we want to help, but then we set up natural roadblocks without even realizing we're setting up roadblocks to those in financial need and need to get money out to them, in particular because of COVID and now the light rail. And so it was loud and clear that we heard from those businesses that they need direct financial assistance. And so I'm grateful that we're moving on that and making sure, trying to help those not in the area, trying to have them survive the next 4 or 5 years is great, especially since they're mom and pop businesses. But then the technical assistance one is where I'm having some struggle with. My first question is how are we using the business information that was collected by the TBDs consultants? How is that information being used in and it got I know it's gathered in this process? Because right now I know that 28 apply, but really it should be larger than 28 if we're using the data that we're using to be able to hit the ground running and provide the technical assistance, so.
Yes, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, the information that you were referring to is the work that was done by our TOD grant process and the consultants that we were able to hire through that TOD grant that we received for the South Central project. We were able to provide some technical assistance through that process, but a majority of the businesses along the corridor who chose to participate, we were able to do a business assessment and put together a business work plan for those businesses. That information has been delivered to Valley Metro. Valley Metro has entered that into their database and used that as a basis for the businesses that not only are participating, but businesses that we know are within the corridor. I will let Eileen speak to the details of how the information is being utilized from this point forward, but that information has been transferred to Valley Metro, and they are using that information to increase participation in the program. Eileen?
Yes, we are utilizing all of that information. I have all of the business assessments and the recommendations that were developed by the TOD grant team for the businesses, and that's the starting point of my meeting with the businesses. Going through, that provides a good foundation for me because I don't have to rehash the same data that has already been collected. It's more a matter of updating it and then discussing specifically some of the recommendations that were created by the grant team. If they had not been able to receive consulting services through the grant project, we're following up to see if those are still issues for them or if other areas have developed over time, and just looking at it, using that all as a foundation. So that data is key in our starting point. That has not been lost, and those recommendations are specifically followed up with the business owners as well.
And Eileen, how many how many businesses are part of that data?
I believe there's 122. I do not remember off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you. Because I just know this area really well, and I'm just passionate about this. So there's 122. How many are from the TOD piece? Is that the 122?
That is the 122 that I'm referring to. They are the ones that participated at some level in either having a business assessment and having recommendations prepared, and possibly even having additional consulting provided at the end of the assessment.
Okay, thank you. Because I look at the 22, I believe it's 22, and then there's still another 100 or 28 that was served. I believe it's 28. There's still another 90 some that are out there that probably we need to get into the technical assistance. But if I was Phoenix and just listening to the process to me is very cumbersome. And it's not, for me, it wouldn't be easy because I'm dealing with a business coordinator that comes and meets with me. And then I have to, the business coordinator then goes to Eileen, and then Eileen goes back and meets with the business to determine if they need assistance or not. And then if they are, it is determined that assistance, then it gets assigned to a consultant. And then we have to, I guess the consultant creates a scope of work. And once that's approved, meanwhile, they're also doing Dbe Outreach. Once all that's approved, then they can come back to me as an owner of Phoenix to then say, okay, well, we can help you on this. By then, I could be closed, or I'm just in dire need and don't want your help at this moment. And I find the process very cumbersome for businesses. And I also find it time consuming. So then I just won't do it. I'll just figure out another way to survive.
I think part of, if I can respond to that, I think part of it is the perception of the time that it takes. If a business owner expresses a need in to their business assistance coordinator, they're usually getting a phone call back from me within 24 hours to talk to them. And if they want to do the meeting over the phone or through Zoom, so we don't have to find time to schedule it, we can do that very quickly. I mean, some of those things can happen very, within 24 hours. They get the assessment written, they get the information from the TOD grant program, and then immediately, as soon as I'm done talking to them, my role is to then say, okay, who is the best technical consultant to work with them? Making that phone call so that they can start to make the connection with the business owner to get their conversation. We could be talking about a very short turnaround. And we're looking at, talking to two people, one person to get kind of an overview of where they are, to make sure that what they're requesting, very honestly, is what they need, or that we don't need to do something else first. A lot of times a business will think they want help in this area, but there may be a few other steps that we need to do to be effective in providing that service. And if we just send someone out and say, okay, go help them do this, without understanding what all of the steps in the process might need to be, we may be doing a disservice to the business.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to that 122 TOD information, because we mined all that information. All that information's there with the 122 businesses. Then from there, in mining and using what data and information that we have, why are we not then, I don't know, I'm a project manager at my other world, and it's frustrating because I would use that information and then go and start with those businesses and say, hey, this is what we know about you. Here's what we can offer you, and kind of just get some steps out of the way and really move it into connecting them to that consultant and getting them going and happening. That's my background, and I've asked several businesses in the area, and that's why I'm pushing the way I'm pushing, because I went and did all my research on this with businesses, and it is frustrating for them, but I just want to put it on the record that I heard them, and I'm putting it on the record as to what are some of the roadblocks to the technical assistance.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of our goal. Our goal is that we have that data from the TOD consultants. It serves as a great baseline. But please understand, those assessments were done more than a year and a half ago. Obviously, a lot has happened with this business community, and so we use Eileen to use that as a baseline, but it also makes sure that what's going on with the business, that we have the most relevant information, and we really put the consultant forward that can serve them to the best of their ability and really serve their current needs. And so we appreciate you pushing us, and we appreciate these questions. And we want to make it as streamlined as possible for the business. That is our goal.
Thank you very much for your effort. My last question is, how many technical assistants are Spanish speaking, and how many of the coordinators are Spanish speaking?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, for our business assistance coordinators, both Flor and Victoria are bilingual. There are the two business assistance coordinators working on our South Central Extension downtown hub. And then Eileen has bilingual resources on the technical assistance consultants, and I think she can address that.
Yes, right now we have, out of the 7 consulting firms that we're working with, 5 of them have bilingual capabilities. There are 2 that do not, but have outside resources that they could tap into, but 5 of the firms have bilingual staff as part of their group.
Okay, I really appreciate that. But Eileen, when you contact them, who is there to assist in translation? Because you are contacting them, and so I'm assuming if the owners are monolingual Spanish, I'm sure they have, I'm going to say a family member that translates for them. Unless somebody reach out in your department, then it is able then to put the pieces together.
Because the starting point of most of these projects is the business assistance coordinator and they are bilingual, if they come to us and say this business needs assistance and there is an issue because I am not bilingual, they would participate in that initial discussion with me, or if we could clearly identify a consultant up front, we would utilize a consultant who has bilingual capabilities right from the beginning to get involved.
Okay, I really appreciate that because that can be lost in translation, and it can be very frustrating. And it's no one's fault. It's just it's the communication piece that goes in. I know that for a fact. Who understands that piece. So,
and that was important to us in identifying consultants, that we did find a number of them who either had bilingual consultants on staff or had access to those resources if they were working with a business where that would be the preferred language of the business owner.
Thank you. I really appreciate everything that is being done, even though it probably sounds like, oh, Laura's asking 21 questions, which I always do. I only want to make it better for the businesses, and quite frankly, my goal is to help them survive and be present. That area is changing quickly and rapidly, and one of my promises was to make sure that the flavor of the South Phoenix or South Central would stay the way, not exactly the way it is, but would still have those mom and pop businesses. And what I see happening is that it's becoming more and more of a struggle for them to survive. And what other people predicted is now happening. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to really keep them there and alive, so that South Central still has some of the past and has some of the present. So that's why my questioning. So thank you.
Are there any other questions? Well, hearing none, Marcus, did you have anything else? Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I'm assuming the presentation is complete. And I thank you very much for doing it upon the request and the job you're doing. Thank you very much. We just want to make sure we keep all these companies alive and well and moving forward. The next item on our agenda is assured water supply. This is the hot topic of all the cities in the valley. So have someone come forward and tell us what is assured water supply and why it's so important and what we need to do.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I did have an item for LRT update. I don't know if we want to come back to that item later. I could quickly move through that item.
Marcus, can you do it fast?
I can do it fast.
Okay.
And efficient. So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, of the subcommittee, I want to give an update on the light rail program. We'll be discussing the 2 light rail projects that we currently have in construction, as well as the 2 light rail projects that are in their planning phases. First, we'll start with the South Central Downtown Hub project. This is a 5-mile extension starting in our downtown Phoenix core, following the Central Avenue alignment to a terminus at Baseline Road. This project has received a full funding grant agreement as of earlier this year. We're 100% done with our design of the project, and we're around 17% completed with construction right now. The estimated budget for this project is $1.345 billion. To date, we have expended $239 million, which is tracking right above 17%, which is in line with the construction completion that we're seeing for the project. Just key construction notes that have taken place over the last quarter. We had a 42-inch water line in Madison Road that was relocated and re-energized. We've also been able to do a CIPP lining of the sewer line in 5th Street, which was necessary for the crossover track, as well as Central Avenue. We have demo work at Cityscape. The CIPP lining is a cast-in-place lining, which increases the structural integrity of the sewer line. Ongoing work in our downtown core, we have the utility relocation work that will continue, as well as demo work that is going to take place in Central Avenue between Washington and Jefferson. South Central, we have archaeological work that continues, as well as utility relocation of wet utilities, as well as working with third-party utilities. In the upcoming months, we plan to do more single tracking as we need to tie in for the 3rd Avenue Loop and for South Central, as well as the demolition and reconstruction of the pedestrian bridge at Cityscape. Here is a picture of 5th Street in Washington, showing some of the construction that took place during our current single tracking. Now this is a picture of Central and McKinley, showing some demolition work of existing track and installation of special track work there for a crossover at that location as well. This is facing south along Central Avenue, south of the Rio Salado, just showing some of the traffic mitigation that is taking place in the corridor as we continue to do utility relocation in this area. For the Northwest Extension Phase 2 project, similar to South Central, the design is 100% completed. Our construction, however, utilities are about 35% completed, with the overall construction completion of about a little over 3%. This is approximately a 1.5 mile extension coming from its terminus at 19th Avenue and Dunlap over to Metro Center Mall. So of the $401 million estimated budget for the project, we have to date expended about $32 million, which is tracking around 8%, which is where we should be for construction and utility work when you look at that combined overall effort. For construction updates, we will continue to work with public utilities and do demolition. We continue to do our Phase 1 traffic control setup along Dunlap Avenue, making sure that we're keeping that thoroughfare free as much as we can for traffic to continue east and west along that corridor. And also submitting construction documents for our end-of-line station, as well as parking structure, and then coordinating third-party utilities work, which is currently taking place as we speak. Here's a picture along Dunlap Avenue with utility trench that has been done for our dry utilities, which is third parties. And then here is a backfill picture of a trench that is also taking place along Dunlap Avenue, close to 25th intersection, which is the backfill of a water line that we're doing for water line relocations. On to our capital extension and I-10 West extension. What's displayed here is the locally preferred alternative that was approved by council back in 2015 with the passing of T2050. The project was split into 2 phases. And then last year, almost to date, 2 years ago, almost to date, council gave us a directive to re-engage with the community and reevaluate this project for different aspects. After work with the community and stakeholders, we were able to come back to the council last fall with the locally preferred alternative that is shown here to date. And we had to work closely with our state departments, as the state owns a majority of the land along the capital extension corridor. And as you are aware, after receiving approval from this subcommittee, before we could get approval from full council, we received a notification from DPS of some concerns. This delayed the adoption of the LPA as we use this opportunity to work closely with DPS to address concerns over terrorism, access, and safety. And so our next steps are that we're going to continue to work with our state agency partners and stakeholders to affirm the LPA is the correct LPA to move forward, and then also begin with preliminary engineering efforts, including survey and sub-utilities. So we're already starting to do those activities because those are required in order for this project to continue to move forward. With the I-10 West extension out to 79th Avenue, as shown here, the dashed line on 79th Avenue was part of the evaluation. Our next steps with that is that we had to finalize our locally preferred alternatives for this piece of the project, complete the transportation type evaluation, as well as the end-of-line analysis to Desert Sky Mall, which so far looks very favorable from the community. Then we're also at the same time looking to identify opportunities to accelerate the preliminary engineering environmental clearance phase by working with our federal partners and other partners to look for funding to support those opportunities. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much for that. I know that we've had plenty of conversations when it has to do about the light rail. And as you guys know, I represent the city at MAG. And yesterday I was at a meeting where they presented their plan on transportation. And one of the things that really caught my attention from their plan and what they're going to be doing is that they talked about the importance and the huge need that we have right now for another line out in the west side. So definitely something that I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring that conversation back. I'm not saying that it has to go back on Camelback. I'm just saying that I think Mario, Marcus, like we need to, I think it's time to have that conversation again in terms of where we want that line to go. And I'm also willing to help in any way that I can to accompany anyone that I need to talk to our transit department as they meet with regional partners like MAG, Westmark, and our West Valley neighbors. I know that I've had different conversations with the different cities, with Tolleson, with Mayor Hermosillo. I know that it's key to try to get Glendale back into the play with this extension. But there's just a lot that is happening. As you guys know, Tempe thrives because of this line. Workers, people from Mesa can very easily get into Tempe. People are able to move around in Tempe very easily because of the line 19 North. As everyone knows, is dear to my heart. It's part of my district. So definitely being able to connect our constituents from that part of the district down to the downtown campus, it's incredibly important. As I spoke with constituents when knocking on doors, it'd be nice for constituents not to have to spend that extra $2,000 to $5,000 a month that they spend on their kids because they don't have real accessibility to the light rail. And the west side is, the west side is changing. There's a lot of plans. I've had 2 meetings now with the John F. Long family and everyone that's working on that Algodon area. And they have an amazing project that they're going to be bringing to 91st and Thomas and that whole area, and then talking to the Camelback Ranch training facility we have there. They have huge plans there as well. We just approved a project of housing that's going to be built on Camelback and past the I think it's 107th Avenue. We just approved that project. So there's definitely a lot that's going to be happening. Westmac is coming in to the Algodon area, and it's going to be a huge campus. So transportation, I think it's clearly something that's becoming more and more important to the west side. Councilwoman Pastor and I have been meeting with Chris Mackey and her team, and as everyone knows, there's going to be two people in her office that are going to be dedicated to Maryvale when we're talking about rebranding and restructuring Maryvale and bringing in more business into Maryvale. So I do think that it's time for us to have that conversation, and hopefully we can we can make that happen in the next couple of months. I'm excited about what's happening in the west side. And I think and I saw the numbers that Westmac presented yesterday, and BRT was not at the top of the list, but light rail was. So I think that there will be a lot of support around the light rail if we get the right people. I want to make sure that we can put all the right people in the room so we can talk about it and none of the businesses feel left out, and hopefully we can learn from our mistakes that we've done as we're trying to be innovative with light rail, and we can make something exciting happen out in the west side. So those are my comments. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pastor?
So I concur with Councilman Guardado. We did have an opportunity to have a West line, but that didn't happen. And so I feel like we need, as a city, knowing the density that is in the west side and the travel, how many cars and really bike riders that ride their bike to work from the west side is needed in that area. We know that the ridership is on the west side, and we know that the ridership is on the south side. That's where our working families are, and that's where I feel light rail should be a priority, because we need the ridership on our lines. And not only do we need ridership, we need access and equity across our whole city on how items are determined with our transportation and our roads, in particular the light rail. So I think it's very important that we continue to have these conversations and we start to solidify dollars for the west side. I understand that I feel like if the timing is right to go back out, Camelback may not have been the right street or road, but there were other alternatives to have gone to. And so I think it's important then to now really do a strong effort and go and meet with the community to see where it needs to go.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? I think your comments about the West Valley is booming. Yeah, it is totally changing, which will change traffic patterns and needs for transportation. I hope staff is in the other cities, so there will be connections, so there will be routes all the way through the valley. I think it's very important, but I definitely know we need to recognize what's going on in the West Valley. Thank you.
Well, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'll say I appreciate in advance your continued support of the light rail program.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I have one last question.
Go ahead.
Mario, so I guess my question is, how do we then start that process again? When can we start a conversation, or what do we need to do to get that ball rolling again? I know we talked about it almost 2 years ago, and a lot's happened in those 2 years. So I guess, how could we start that again? Because I know it was designated for the west side. And now it's just about how do we bring it back? So how do we start that?
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Guardado. Some of that discussion has been taking place with regard to the I-10 West alignment and the work that's being done on that analysis. But because of discussions that you were bringing to light in the last couple of years, as you mentioned, we've begun to also look at potential options that could be an alternative to that Camelback route. And so we can actually bring that, if that's something that the council could talk further about at a future council meeting. But in the meantime, we are doing some analysis, working with Valley Metro to look at those options as well.
Okay,
I was
Okay,
just gonna
thank
mention,
you.
the other piece of that is the funding, and that's the other part of that analysis that we're doing. Thank you, Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will go now to the assured water supply.
Madam Chair, here for this item are Karen Peters, Deputy City Manager, and Cynthia Campbell, Water Resources Advisor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Good morning, Vice Mayor, members of the subcommittee. Also with me this morning is Troy Hayes, our new Water Services Director, who's here. In the event there are questions for him, Cynthia Campbell, I believe, is on the web, I hope. Cynthia, she's there. Terrific. Okay, so today we'd like to give you a brief overview of the state of Arizona's Assured Water Supply Program and the city's designation of Assured Water Supply, which is due for renewal in the near future. So as I mentioned, Cynthia Campbell, our Water Resources Management Advisor, is with me today, who she and Troy will be working closely together as this process gets underway. By way of introduction, what is a designation of assured water supply? As we know, Arizona is widely recognized for its foresight and wise water management in its urban areas, starting with the 1980 Groundwater Management Act. So the Assured Water Supply Program applies within Arizona's 5 active management areas. The Groundwater Management Act set up a structure that strictly regulates groundwater use in these areas, which are areas of the state where significant groundwater depletion occurred historically. Under the Assured Water Supply Program, the Arizona Department of Water Resources evaluates the availability of a 100-year water supply, either for an individual development or the entire service area of a water provider. In an active management area, a developer cannot record plats or sell parcels unless DWR has determined that there is an assured water supply. However, if the development is in a service area of a water provider with a designation of assured water supply from the department, developer can skip that step and would only need a written commitment of service from the water provider. Phoenix, of course, is the legally recognized water provider within our service area, which is roughly the city's boundaries. DWR reevaluates a water provider's designation every 15 years. So Cynthia will walk us through briefly what's involved with the renewal process.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So why does Phoenix need a DAWS, a designation of assured water supply? Well, as Karen mentioned, Phoenix's initial designation was in 1998, and it was reconfirmed again in 2010. The designation allows the continued build out and economic
Cynthia, I think we've lost your connection. Are you there? Well, I can say that the designation allows for continued build out of our community and economic development. The city's next renewal is due in 2025.
There, I'm back.
There, you're back. Okay,
I think
great.
you lost me. Sorry. I apologize. You know, I'd been on here for a while and now I have a problem. What will be needed for the application to show we have a 100-year water supply? The city will have to demonstrate that it has a physical, that means that there's actually wet water, a legal, so we have a legal right to that water, and a continuous availability of water for 100 years for our current demand as well as our future growth during those 100 years. We also have to demonstrate that we have the financial capability to build and operate a water system We also have to show that we have the ability to meet water quality regulations. We've done the last two very, very handily. And then we also have to demonstrate consistency with the water conservation requirements of the state AMA management plan and safe yield. And basically what that means is that we're not pumping too much groundwater. That's the real gist of it. So what has changed since the city's last designation? So there's been substantial growth within the city and within the active management area. There's also changes in water consumption patterns, and that's not all of there's more demand, because I think that's what a lot of people would like to think, that there's more water being used. In reality, there actually is much less water being used. So we want to make sure that our designation reflects that. There are updated state AMA management plans and conservation requirements, which we have to meet. And also, the issue that might be new this particular cycle is that our renewable water supplies, including the Colorado River, may be less available or reliable than previously thought. So here are just a few of the potential challenges and really an explanation for why we start this process so early, is that there's increasing stress and competition for available water resources. And specifically, the Groundwater Management Act looks to groundwater, and that is the foundation of all of the Valley City's water supply. Is when everything else, all the renewable supplies, if they're gone, they will pump groundwater. And we do have to share that, because groundwater knows no municipal boundary. So that requires collaboration with other Valley cities to ensure that our applications are consistent, because most of the other major Valley cities will also be going through the same process at the same time. We'll use the same modeling of groundwater as well. Next slide. So what we wanted to bring to the committee today is a walkthrough of what this application process timeline is going to look like. So this summer, Water Services will start to prepare a scope of work for a technical consultant to assist us in preparing this application. In the fall to the winter, we'll go through the procurement process for that consultant. And then in 2022, the real work begins, where the Water Services Department staff and the technical consultant will perform groundwater modeling analysis, and we'll be working with other cities with SRP, which provides some of the modeling, as well as the Department of Water Resources, to create consistent applications for all the cities. I should note too that AMWA has been a very strong advocate and assisting party in all of this and keeping that forum for collaboration. So in late 2022, we will actually begin that preparation of the application itself. And we will look to turn that in early to mid 2023 to DWR. In 2023, ADWR does its heavy lift. And so it has 240 days to review and process the application. Please keep in mind that not only Phoenix's will be submitting, but most of the other Valley cities, and they'll be looking at all of them. So Phoenix will then be able to address the questions and potential deficiencies that the department might find. By early to mid 2024, ADWR will put the entire application out for public and stakeholder review, with the hopes that at the end of 2024, they will issue or reissue a designation of assured water supply to the city of Phoenix. So we need a new designation by January 1st, 2025, and that's why this process takes so long. We back it out so we make sure we have everything we need. And with that, we're happy to take questions.
Madam Chair. Thank you. I do have a question. How do we, I know in the northern part of the city around Anthem, we actually have a relationship with a private water company. I think they provide some water to portions of the city of Phoenix. How do we look at that when we're looking at an assured water supply? Do they have to submit as well?
That's a great question, Councilwoman Stark and Vice Mayor Williams. The EPCOR also has the requirements of going through a designation. We buy water from them on a wholesale basis right now at Anthem, although that actually is our water that we provide and they wheel it. So the designation still goes to us. It's not whether EPCOR has enough water, they just provide the service to us. We
Okay.
provide the water.
Okay, but they still will be a part of the equation and explaining to the state. Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm not hearing any, Cynthia. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
This is going to be a challenge, but I know you're up to it.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Okay. Any other comments? No? Okay, thanks. Next are future agenda items. Are there any items you want for the next subcommittee meeting? Councilwoman Guado?
Thank you. Yeah, so there's a couple. First, I would like to have an item that focuses on the Grand Canalscape Phase 3 from 47th Avenue to 75th Avenue. If we could just get a report on that. I know we had a very robust neighborhood meeting and we had a lot of people that attended that meeting. So there's a lot of interest. So that if we can get an update on that, Mario, that would be great. And I know that this project is utilizing grant money from SRP, but I would like to get an update from staff on previous grants the city has used for similar projects in the past, as well as potential grants we can use in the future. This should include state, local, private, and federal grants that the city can leverage. I also would like to make sure this report covers the streets, parks, and recreation and arts and culture departments. I want to make sure that our departments are not working in silos. I think that the Grand Canalscape is a perfect project for our city to have cross-department collaboration and bring our residents a safe, walkable area, great public art and recreation options. Secondly, I would like an update on the rollout of the plexiglass shields on our buses. I know that we started that process, and I think that majority of them are done, but I would like to see how that's working and how that's also moving along, given the issues that we've seen on the buses in the past. And finally, I would like to discuss the health and safety protocols at the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. As the vaccine rollout continues and more people feel safe to fly, I think it's imperative that Phoenix creates a name for itself as the safest destination for airline travelers and tourists. I know that we said that we've been the tastiest. Now we need to be the safest airport that people can actually come to. And I would like staff to update us on what measures have been taken and what more we can actually do. I know, Mario, we talked about this yesterday, about some of the issues that we found when we did that walkthrough at the airport. So if we can just get an update and then figure out how we as a city can be helpful and what we need to do to continue to roll this out and making sure that everyone that walks into our airport, whether you're a traveler or you're a worker, feels safe and feels good about coming into our airport. So those are my items.
Okay. Councilwoman Stark, do you have something? You're muted.
No, I'm sorry. No, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pastor?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm here. I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Matt, do we have anybody on the phone? This is called to the public.
I had heard that Tracy Gunderson had signed up to speak. We were just trying to determine if she might have been able to connect. So if you just give me 1 second. It does not look like she was able to connect, unfortunately. So
Okay.
we do not have any call to the public.
All right, very good. In that case, we stand adjourned. Thank you all for all your service.
Thank you,
and hard
Zelda.
work.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss you.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you guys.